Ask any Aussie motorsport fan who won the 1997 Bathurst 1000 and you'll likely get told Larry Perkins and Russell Ingall. The only thing is they didn't, and they didn't even compete in the race. So let me explain. In the early 90s, the Australian Touring Car Championship was changed from the defunct Group A to a local V8 sedan-based formula, open to the Holden Commodore and the Ford Falcon. Fans rejoiced as this meant gone were the buzzy little turbos and that damn rice burner Nissan GTR, and no matter what happened, the winner of the Bathurst 1000 would cross the line accompanied by the roar of a homegrown V8 rather than a turbo whistle. This formula was the genesis of what would become V8 supercars. One thing that most people don't remember though, or choose not to remember, is that in the early days, although the cars were great, the racing sort of wasn't. Circuits like Amaroo and Lakeside could almost barely fit two of the new generation cars side by side, let alone allow for any overtaking. And with the sprint race format at the time being devoid of pit stops or any form of strategy, many races finished in qualifying order. Get to turn 1 first, you were pretty much home and hosed. This wouldn't have been so much of an issue had there not been a threat looming on the horizon. Super Touring had taken off in the UK, and the door-banging all-action series was attracting worldwide attention for the spectacular racing, multiple manufacturers and superstar drivers. Soon enough, Australian Super Touring series has started up, and the racing was proving every bit as entertaining as it was back in the motherland. And for a while, it became a credible threat for the eyeballs of the Aussie motorsport fan, especially those missing the international flavour of Group A. So with this Cold War bubbling away under the surface, it would not be an opportune time for the V8 crew to get in a spat with anyone. Which of course is exactly what they did. A dispute over TV rights with the Australian Racing Drivers Club, organisers of the Bathurst 1000, which in those days was a standalone event not counting towards the championship, was all it took for the V8s to be out and the Super Tourers, which many observers at the time believed to be the future, were in. The V8s managed to negotiate themselves a date for a second 1000k race at Bathurst a few weeks later. However, the official Bathurst 1000 on its traditional date, that was too late to land.
We'll be making a wide run to the first turn. Not a great place to be stuck out wide there. Peter knows that better than anybody. The engines roar, they're ready to go. A great race for 97.
Is away, and Paul Morris takes the lead from Jason Plato, but there's 161 laps to go as they come down to and round Hell Corner, starting the climb up Mount Panorama, up Mountain Straight. Everybody's getting round the first corner. Well, that's good, and they stream up towards Repco Bend, the first right-hander, and then into the BP cutting, and Jason Plato passes Paul Morris to take the lead in the Renault Laguna. Behind him in the Peugeot 406, it's double world champion Paul Radicic. Morris retakes the lead. It's terrific stuff on the first of 161 laps, and coming up in the background, you can see Peter Brock is in fourth position in the red and white of Vauxhall Vectra.
So it came to pass that in October of 1997, the local Super Touring heavyweights, and a good few privateers it must be said, were joined by factory squads from the BTCC, which made for some fascinating driver lineups. Derek Warwick would join Peter Brock in a Vauxhall, Holden, Vectra, marking Triple Eight's first appearance in the Great Race, although they were badged as, I think they were entered as Vauxhall Sport, but it was actually Derek Warwick's Triple Eight team that were running that. Alan Jones rejoined his old F1 team in the Williams Renault Laguna, and the Brabham brothers, David and Jeff, teamed up for BMW, and Audi sent Frank Bieler to team up with Brad Jones' locally based Oryx Audi team. With the legendary Murray Walker brought over for commentary duties, it was set to be quite a race. It also gave us the opportunity to hear commentary gems like this.
That was an absolutely sensational stop, 22 seconds, and as the BMW leaves the pit lane, here is Frank Bieler entering the finishing straight. Look there, he's going to take the lead. I think Frank Bieler is going to get through into the lead, and very close indeed. There is the Audi as the BMW comes out into lap 143. No, the BMW is still ahead. So BMW leads. Right up tight behind him is the Audi of Bieler. Right up tight behind him is Olmru's Audi. And David Brabham has got the gap down to the Audi in front of him to 4 seconds. It's going to be a barnstorming finish of the Bathurst 1000.
The race itself was fascinating and high on attrition, as most of the BTCC contingent clearly had not brought cars robust enough for a 1000k race, and in the end it became a battle of the local BMWs versus the local Audis, with Paul Morris and Craig Baird to cross the line first, only to be DQ'd following a driving time infringement, handing the win to the Brabhams. In 1998, the Super Tourers returned for their second crack at the mountain, and again they did not disappoint. As in the BTCC that year, the battle was between Volvo and Nissan, and as in the BTCC, it was the Volvo of Rickard Rydell that won the race, ably co-driven by one of my childhood heroes, Jim Richards. Some of the lustre had been taken off this event though by the lack of overseas entries. The field was boasting a healthy 42 cars, bolstered by production car class that was entered as well, but it didn't have the depth or the quality of the previous year. It was essentially Volvo and Audi versus 30-odd privateers, although the Team Dynamics Nissan that finished second was well supported. However, in the background, something else was going on. Both Ford and Holden had introduced new models to the V8 Supercar series, which for whatever reason was providing much better racing. Names like Ambrose, Murphy and Radicic were shaking up the establishment, and led by Tony Cochrane, the series was on the up. By 1999, while still going strong in the UK, the Australian Supers Touring Series was in its death throes. The fans' eyeballs, and therefore the sponsors, and therefore the leading teams, had all moved across to the rejuvenated V8 Supercar series, which had added some new and exciting events and was beginning the greatest decade in its history. The 1999 Bathurst 1000 only attracted 18 entries, with Richards, Morris and Baird the only named drivers, and the balance of the field made up with production cars. It was also no longer a 1000k race, but a 100k qualifying race followed by a 500k main race. It rained most of the time, with a huge portion of the race run under safety car, as if the mountain itself was trying to tell the pathetic 19-car field just to piss off and go home. Paul Morris won, but no one gave a shit. To no one's surprise, this was the last time the Super Tourers got a crack at the Bathurst 1000. The series itself limped on until 2002 with just 5 rounds and a smattering of unknown competitors. Sorry Mumbo Racing, but it's true. The series folded at season's end. Tony Cochrane of V8 Supercars immediately signed a deal directly with the Bathurst Council to have the 1000 back, freezing out the Australian Racing Drivers Club altogether. He also locked the race in as a championship round in a watertight contract, meaning the race could never be lost to them again. So that's the story for how 2 glorious years, and I'm not counting 99, us Aussie racing fans got treated to 2 Bathurst 1000s each year. And while it may be more convenient to simply trace the Australian Touring Car Championship / V8 Supercar history and pretend it never existed, they certainly are fond memories of an interesting time, and I'm glad I got to see it.
Okay then, here we go on a lap of the fabulous, historic, legendary Mount Panorama circuit, and I'm riding with no less a man than Brad Jones, the reigning Australian Touring Car Champion, in the 4-wheel drive Audi Quattro. And Brad is in the top 10 for the Bathurst 1000 tomorrow, and we're accelerating away now from Hell Corner up towards the world famous mountain. And boy, that acceleration, it's just like being fired out of a gun over the crest. Now we drop down a bit. I feel the car jig to the left and to the right. Here we are at Repco Corner. Get down a couple of gears, tight into the apex, drift out a bit, just kiss the curb and ride up a little. Now we're into the left-hander here, we're into the cutting. This is the BP cutting that we're approaching, almost touches the ground to the left. Right in very, very tight. Now we go out wide again, and we're getting up towards the top of the mountain. Not there yet, as we go under the AMP banner. We're not at the top of the mountain yet, but we're mighty close to it, and I'm expecting to see the car drop away as we go into Castrol Curve. And this car just feels as steady as a rock. Brandon probably isn't going at 10/10ths, in fact I'm sure he isn't, but he's going mighty quick even though he's got a passenger aboard. Now this is the drop, this is unbelievable. Left, right, down another gear, down into the tight left-hander and the dipper, right again. And very soon we come up within sight of the Forest Elbow. This is Forest Elbow, down into second gear. And from now on we've got the Conrod Street. And boy, does the speed mount here. Because we build up to some 260 k's. Did you get that? 260 k's. It's unbelievable. And whoa, over the hill. Down again. It's a Caltex chase. Why are we travelling now? Round to the left. I can feel the engine absolutely powering. Well, those brakes are sensational. Over the curve again, into the right. Now we're almost under the bridge, down to Murray's Corner, and I don't know what there's been a 2:16.5 lap today. We're slower than that, but believe me, it's mighty quick. And there is the checkered flag, and that was the lap of Mount Panorama. Oh boy, what a wonderful, wonderful experience.